Hello, everyone. Welcome to AG Triathlon for a race recap episode with Vanessa Murray, who just finished second overall age grouper in the IRONMAN World Championships in the age group category in St. George. Hi, Vanessa. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. It's a massive pleasure having you on the podcast. So why don't we dive into it? Tell us a bit about yourself.
Okay, well, I'm Vanessa from New Zealand, but we live in Melbourne, Australia, and have done for the past almost 7 years. So been in the sport for about 13 years with a little bit of a break in the middle. Raced the World Champs on the weekend, which was my second ever Ironman World Champs. The first one was a long time ago. So I was really excited to be on the start line.
Very cool. So you won actually your age group, which, if I'm not mistaken, is 35 to 39.
Correct.
Second overall in 10 hours and 7 minutes. Fantastic race. Tell us a bit about it.
Yeah, well, I guess, the race obviously was, first of all, it was just great to have one and great to be able to get to America, and great that everything kind of, enabled me to get to the start line. Obviously, living in Melbourne, we'd had lots of lockdowns, so it was just great to be out in the world. The swim itself was, the race itself was obviously always going to be quite a challenging day, I think. A pretty decent course, and I mean, from the get-go, we were always going to have sort of pretty wild conditions to deal with. So the swim itself is something I really look forward to, being an ex-swimmer. So the swim was beautiful, like nice big 1 lap easy course. I was a little bit scared of the temperature, obviously coming from the Australian summer. I knew the water was going to be a little bit cold, and I have in the past suffered quite badly from cramp in cold water before. So I was a little bit nervous around that, but I think having done the couple of swims in the prior week when it was a little bit colder again, paid dividends on race day, because it actually felt quite balmy, and I don't know why that was, but the temperature was fine. So my age group was, I think, maybe the third female age group wave to start. When you know you're a strong swimmer, that's a hard place to be, starting behind all the age group men and everything. So it really was just a matter of trying to get through and around everyone, which is a little bit unfortunate, that you just can't stick your head down and go, but at least it's the same for everyone in my wave. Just kind of enjoyed the swim, got into a rhythm relatively quickly. Managed to navigate through the worst of the people I had to swim through, and then sort of found a little bit of clear space to kind of start dodging everyone else. But it was felt pretty comfortable, I would say. When I came out of the water, I was probably a little bit surprised about my time, and I don't think it's till you sort of look at the times comparatively afterwards to know how you swum. I was sort of aiming for that 51, 52 minutes, which, coming out at 56, I think it was quite a slow swim for everyone. You never really know whether that's because it might be a little bit long. You just don't really know with the swim. So I think, overall, pretty happy with how it went comparatively, and obviously getting that fastest age group female swim split was, I guess, nice security to know that you did swim well. Onto the bike. I had a little bit of a mare in T1, so T1 didn't go too well, overshot my bag. Let's hope the coach doesn't listen to that part. I only lost a few seconds. The bike was really good. Sort of, my aim for the bike was to just ease into those sort of first 10 to 15 Ks, really not look at the power at all, get some nutrition on board. And just get into a nice rhythm, really, and that sort of first period of the race. I sort of learnt from my last Ironman race that starting off conservatively pays dividends, so it was the same strategy for this race. Kind of just settled into, after the first 15K, just kind of settled into things, keeping a little bit of an eye on power, but I would say more riding to feel. Just felt really great on the bike. bike legs came to the party, felt like I'd got the taper right, until I got my first flat, which kind of, obviously it's not what you want to see on when you or feel. 90K, so just before the Gunlock Loop, I got my first flat. I say first because there is another one coming. I just kind of went into automatic pilot. Actually, I just got off, changed it quite quickly. I think I lost about 7 minutes with that first flat. Tried really hard not to panic. Just got the change done. No mechanics nearby, so just started doing it myself, and then got back on. And actually managed to pull myself back into the race mentally really quickly. Just knew I'd only lost 7 minutes, so knew the day wasn't over. And then, kind of got back into my rhythm quite quickly. And then did the Gunlock climbs, felt super strong around that. My goal was to always build to that climb, so kind of start conservatively, build to the top, and not push so hard that I had to recover down it, but rather I could really ride down the descent. And then at 145K, I got my second flat. So same wheel. We think a different puncture. It's always hard to know, but just some really bad luck. And it's fair to say that by the time I got my second puncture, I was letting out a few curse words on the bike. But the second puncture, unfortunately, did take me a little bit longer to change. And being 30 so K away from the finish line is a hard place to stop and change a puncture. You're really starting to feel tired. And so a
quick question around that is, changing flat tires something that you practiced in training, or?
I do practice, and luckily on race week I put some extra effort into practicing it quite a lot because I had new tires. Let's just say that I'm very grateful that I did that. And that second flat, for whatever reason, was just a bit harder to change. And I think getting back onto the bike after that, I had to give myself, I knew I'd lost a lot of time, and I mentally really had to sort of pull my head back into the game at that point. And there was definitely moments there that I really sort of questioned whether I could still even be in contention for an age group win. There was a couple of girls I knew were strong cyclists, and kind of standing on that side of the road, I was sort of just kind of almost waiting for them to pass at that point. I didn't see them, and I guess that gave me sort of the element of, okay, well, this is still a long day. It comes down to the run, so just keep pushing. And eventually I sort of managed to get my head back into the right mental space. And going up Snow Canyon, that at the end of the ride there is tough. I was obviously starting to fatigue at that point, and I don't think that sort of stop, that sort of 12 or so minute stop helped my legs. But I was still finding myself passing people up Snow Canyon, so I knew I was going pretty well. Sort of finished the bike. Obviously a little frustrated, but I needed to not let that get to me for the run.
So you still managed a 5:34 with two flats on that course.
Yeah, so
it's pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, I'm trying hard not to dwell too much on what the time would have been, but rather I guess what I achieved with two flats. So,
exactly. So then you finished the bike. In what position are you overall?
I think overall at that point I think I was probably in about fourth or fifth. Fourth maybe off the bike. Yeah, I mean at the time obviously you just have no idea, and it my husband was on the sidelines giving me some splits. So I sort of knew for the majority of the bike I was in a strong position, but then after the flats I really had no idea. Until I sort of got out onto the run course and was able to get a little bit more information off people. So, off the bike, I actually, you expect not to feel amazing in those first couple of K, and obviously in this race you're going uphill. So I think, you know, I was mentally prepared to not feel great for the first couple of K. Probably didn't feel as bad as I thought I might. But I just took those first couple of K pretty conservatively, getting the first lot of run nutrition in. You know, I was always going to utilize the aid stations well in this race, just knowing how warm it was going to be. And yeah, sort of managed to find my legs quite quickly. You know, lap 1 was great, as all lap 1s in Ironman are. You know, you can feed off the crowd, and you know you've got your run legs, and yeah, just sort of found a nice little rhythm. Was able to use the downhills quite well, and then yeah, it was all sort of a pretty solid day. The 30K mark was, you know, where it really started to pinch for me, and for me it was my quads, like I'm sure it was a lot of people. You know, I guess probably in a perfect world, I would have liked that quad pain to come on a little later into the race. But then it was just about managing myself as best I could. At this point, I knew I had a little bit of a buffer to second in the age group. And my husband, I did know I was second overall at this point. And yeah, I think he gave me a time split at one point. And I think, you know, for me, then it was about winning my age group. Yeah, I guess I'd be lying if I didn't say that I was there to win overall. And, you know, it's, I guess, hard to, I'm trying not to dwell on what if I didn't get the punctures, but rather be really proud of what I achieved. So,
yeah, I mean, it's fair enough, right? The margin was 24 minutes. So if you add up the two flats plus the toll it must have taken on you mentally, then...
could have been a good foot race.
Then it would have been. Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, Marlene, not to take anything away from Marlene, because she, you know, she had a great day and deserved the win. But yeah, I think, you know, she's a phenomenal runner. So, you know, we had the flats have not happened, I would have been running very scared, I imagine. So, yeah, hats off to her for a great day as well.
Yeah, so you did a 3:27, is that correct? For the marathon?
Yeah.
I mean, that's amazing. I don't think I could run that in a straight marathon on a flat, so that's quite phenomenal. So yeah, and then tell me about the moment that you that you finished the race, going to the finish line, see your family again. What feelings do you have immediately after the finish? Yeah,
well, I mean, the feeling I can remember most vividly in my head is the last sort of 4K of that run, and my husband on the sideline being like, "It's all downhill from here." And all I could think about was the burning sensation of my quads, and I was thinking in my head, can I roll down? Like, do I have to use my quads? like the quads were gone. So like that, I mean, and that last kilometer of the race is brutal, because you're just like right there at the finish line, and then you have to do the dog leg out and back. So that was the longest kilometer of my life. But I mean, obviously seeing that that finish line is amazing in every Ironman, but I think it was particularly more amazing on Saturday. So yeah, crossing the finish line, I was pretty emotional. I, you know, it's been an up and down 2 years, and just, you know, when you put a lot into training for like an Ironman, particularly, you know, when you go in with big goals and to sort of tick most of those off, the emotions do get you at the finish line. And, you know, I was really proud of myself. I was sort of, I was a bucket of emotions, really. Like I'd been on such a roller coaster of a day with the punctures, and, you know, had I have got a third puncture, I wouldn't have been able to finish. I only carried 2. So, you know, I was just so happy that the front wheel held out that second time, and that I was sort of able to carry on my day. Yeah, but yeah, I was definitely emotional.
Very good. So what's next for the rest of the season?
Well, I guess that was the interesting thing about this race is, you know, for the first time we had in Australia and New Zealand, we had the opportunity to train for this race at the end of our season, which was through our summer. So I know for a lot of people, they've still got the rest of the triathlon season, but this was at the end of mine. So just taking a little bit of an off season. I'm currently actually in San Francisco. We're doing a little bit of travel around the States before we head home. So yeah, I'll just sort of take a few weeks to just rest the body, rest the mind, catch up with friends and family, and then sort of, I guess recommence a build, which is still TBC a little bit. I actually decided to decline my Kona spot this year. As much as I would love to be there, it is an expensive trip, like very expensive trip from Australia. And I think, you know, my husband and I, we're not too far off buying our first house. So something has to give at some point. But yeah, I think my goal will be to get an early qualification for Kona in 2023. So I'll likely race an Ironman at the end of the year in Australia and New Zealand. Yeah.
Very cool. Vanessa, it was great hearing about your race and chatting with you. Massive congratulations.
Thank you.
Have a great holiday and a bit of off season, and then hope to see you in the World Championships, if not this year, then the year after.
Yeah.
All the best.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.